Elementary. Oh,
Yes.
let me slow down. Yes.
Tell us when.
Pretend like we're at City Hall and do the wave.
He'll tell us when.
And we're live.
All right, live.
Hi, Ms. Kessler and Dr. Joyner. I saw in there, Mr. Valenti.
Nice to see you.
Mr. Ali, we're recording now.
All right, great. If all are still ready, I'd like to call to order the regular governing board meeting of the Jefferson Elementary School District, September 23rd, 2020, and the time is 7:06. And can we please get a report of members present?
Clayton Koo.
Here.
Marie Brizuela is absent. Maybell Monio.
Here.
Manufo Leah Inga Anu Wai is not present. Shakil Ali.
Here. Thank you. And at this time, we will ask Mr. Valenti to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Absolutely. This time I'll adjust my screen as I stand up.
All right.
Please rise. Put your right hand over your heart. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we see Ms. Liana Anoa'i is here. Yep. I didn't get to say hi to you earlier. All right, so at this time, the governance team will just briefly look at the meeting guidelines, and our aim is to adhere to all the guidelines as which was established at the last board meeting. So if all are in favor of that, then we can just focus on following all the guidelines. All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd like to motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, motion has been made in a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous approval. Board member acknowledgements and commendations, and I'll go ahead and start with Trustee Manio.
Oh, no. I just want to say good evening to everybody. I know that we're now in our second month of being back at school, and it's been quite a journey since last spring. Hang in there, everybody. We're all, making way together and really listening to all the voices and opinions and sentiment. I apologize for my absence. It's not well known, but I was in a bad accident, but I am still, my brain is functioning. My mouth is working. Other than that, I'm pretty beat up, which is why I don't have my screen on, but I'm on the mend and should be back virtually soon. And I just want to say good evening to everybody. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, and thanks for logging in tonight. Take care of yourself, but we definitely appreciate your presence here. All right, and next will be Trustee Liana Anoa'i.
Thank you, President Ali. I apologize for my tardiness coming off of another Zoom. As we know, that's the world we live in right now, Zooming to another Zoom. So I apologize. But I'm glad to hear that Trustee Manio is on the mend. It would definitely grateful to have you back and hear your voice at the very least. So always appreciate your service and your leadership. I too want to just continue to encourage our teachers, our educators, our staff, our students, and our families to just continue to stay the course and stay focused. I think it's continues to be a difficult time, but all we can do is just be present and give it our best. I know that as a parent, I'm struggling too at home, trying to support my youngest, who's my last one, and it's difficult because I have such a great appreciation, just like I know all parents around the country do, just a whole different level of appreciation for our educators and how difficult the job is. I can say that every day I struggle to support her while also trying to work from my screen. So I just want to just share that message of gratitude with all of you and hope that we all can continue to be well. I'm glad that we've been downgraded as far as our status, during this COVID time, that we're out of the red. And I hope that we can continue to figure out how to get some level of normalcy. But I'm really glad to be here in this moment to appreciate the goodness that we're trying to be a part of. So be well, everyone, and take good care.
All right, thank you. And Trustee Koo.
I want to also echo comments of Ms. Lalianaway. Just want to welcome Ms. Manu back. Hope you're feeling well. And look forward to hopefully seeing you in person soon when all this ends as well. Nothing much really on my end. Just want to wish everybody a happy September as we head into the fall. Also want to remind everybody, yesterday was National Voter Registration Day. So if you haven't registered to vote, there's 40 days until election, and you can register to vote at registertovote.ca.gov. It takes a couple minutes, and your vote can actually make a huge difference, especially in our community and across the country. So just want to put a plug in for that as well.
All right, thanks. And thanks for reminding everyone to go out and register to vote and vote. So I don't have to do that now. But anyway, so I just also want to remind people in the public and commend them for their commitment, and some of our teachers for their commitment to wanting to see a better district and a better education system, and encourage them to send those messages through the form of a public comment, and follow the process. Make your public comments through the process so that it can be your words and we can hear what you want to say. So I appreciate when people send me messages. However, when they're messages that are intended to be public comments, go ahead and submit them through the process. And the other thing I want to say is really just reiterate what my colleagues have said about just the state of education right now and what we're dealing with shelter in place and social distancing, and also encourage everyone to see this as a marathon. It's not over yet, but we're doing well. In California and the Bay Areas are doing well relatively to other places, but we still have to be careful and think safety first. And with that, we will move on to superintendent comments.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. First, I'd just like to start by announcing that our school district received a grant from the School Violence Prevention Program to purchase and install an emergency notification system that will allow us to quickly and easily notify our parents if there was an emergency on any of our campuses, as well as to coordinate with law enforcement at the same time. So currently it's a 2 or 3 step process, and I think this is going to help us take care of that easily with one notification. So we're very fortunate to have received $125,000 to be able to implement this. And thank you, Ms. Manio, for bringing this grant opportunity to our attention last year. I think you brought it up to us like in February or March, and the grant was due in April, and we thought we could swing it. But then we realized that it's really a year-long planning process to be able to submit the grant. And it's nice that it was a annual grant opportunity. So we're grateful that we could do something that we've been wanting to do, and now we have funds to be able to accomplish that. As Ms. Liaina Ano I mentioned, San Mateo County entered into what's called the red tier of reopening. It's a county designation. Today is also our 5th week of school. And in our July meeting, the board determined that the district should be in distance learning for a minimum of 6 weeks, which would bring us to next week, before considering or starting to consider by looking at the local health data, how we might move into our hybrid instruction program. One thing we have to know about these tiers of reopening, and we'll have more time at our October 14th meeting when there's more certainty. The county needs to be in the red tier for 2 straight weeks. This week coming up will be the first week, and then the following week will be the second week. And those are the weeks where any data that resulted from any Labor Day surges or infections will be incorporated. So, it's going to be important that all of us keep vigilant about wearing our masks and maintaining our physical distance from people that are not in our household. The district and the schools still have a lot of work to do to get ready to welcome students back. And so given all that, and given that we're going to be discussing this at our October 14th meeting, I can confidently say that I do not think that we will be welcoming back students any earlier than November 1st, and very possibly sometime after November 1st. Just for the work that has to happen. So much is being learned about this virus and how it spreads, that just in the last few weeks we've learned we need to put in a couple of other prevention instruments into some of our classrooms to make it as safe as possible. And so glad that we didn't open any sooner, because as time goes on, more is learned. We really want to make sure that our spaces are safe places and not places of transmission. We want to keep our students and staff safe, but more importantly, I think we want to keep our elders and our community safe. And if we can keep our students virus free, then they can protect their elder relatives, because they won't be bringing home anything that they may have caught at school. So we'll discuss this further in more detail on our October 14th meeting as we know more about our data. And we have promised our community that we will give at least a 2-week notice of when we return, and that when we return, we'll be returning in slow, graduated process, not all at once, not on the same day. So we want to take our time to do this and do this well, so that we don't need to jump back quickly into a distance learning mode. Although I must say that I've been very impressed with the distance learning opportunities that both our teachers and our students are participating in. I have had a chance to observe, and I've heard testimonies and from teachers and school administrators about what they're doing in their classroom. And it is actually very amazing, at least what I've heard, from what we were experiencing last spring. So the extra time to plan really has paid off. The additional professional development has really served us well. And also families feeling the commitment to show up to school every day is much different feeling now than it was last April and May. Despite San Mateo County being in the red tier of reopening, I was looking at the data today, and San Mateo County maintains some of the highest positivity rates and case counts than other Bay Area counties that are also in the red tier. So that is cause for concern. We celebrate that we're in the red tier, but red tier still means substantial spread and substantial presence of the virus in our community. And I think, we'll discuss this on the 14th, but it may not be the place where we feel comfortable reopening our schools. and we can have that conversation in October. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And I'm glad to hear that we're still, erring on the side of, not erring, but leaning on the side of safety as we look at the data. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Yes, unanimously approved. Item 7C, resolution number 20-9-23, week of the school administrator.
Yeah,
The
so this is,
administration-
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, the administration recommends adoption of this resolution designating the week of October 11th through 17th, 2020 as week of the school administrator.
Yeah, so every year we do set aside a week, or the state of California sets aside a week to recognize the work of school administrators. And this year, their work is highlighted in its importance because the school administrator is the one that sets the tone, the climate, and the setting for a safe return to school, working with staff and parents and helping to educate students to learn, to know how to move around and how to work at school. So I wholeheartedly recommend that the board take on this resolution.
All right, thanks. Any deliberation from board members? Looks like and sounds like no. So I'll just say that, yeah, this is definitely a tough time to be in any part of the education family, whether you're a student, a parent, teacher, or administrator. So my hat goes off to those administrators who are able to be that rock and that calming presence, but to also keep moving things forward. So, hats off to everyone. So do we have a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 20-09-23 for the week of the school administrator in October 11th through the 17th, 2020, as week of the school administrator.
Second.
All right, so this is a resolution, so we need a roll call vote.
Mr. Koo,
Aye.
Ms. Manio,
Aye.
Ms. Leah Inga Anuai,
Aye.
Mr. Ali.
Aye, unanimously approved. Item 8E. We've been waiting for this. Learning continuity and attendance plan. The administration recommends approval of the learning continuity and attendance plan. The learning continuity and attendance plan details how student learning continuity will be addressed during the COVID-19 crisis in the 2020 to 21 school year. The learning continuity plan replaces the local control accountability plan for the 2020 to 21 school year.
Good evening,
The floor is yours.
everyone. Hi, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Okay. So yes, the learning continuity and attendance plan. I'm going to talk about this current plan that we've just finished writing and how this came to be. So back in March 17th exactly, we transitioned from face-to-face learning to at-home online learning due to the shelter-in-place order. And this was, of course, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So as a result, on June 29th, Governor Gavin Newsom signed Senate Bill 98 into law. And this bill, set forth the requirements for distance learning and funding for all the areas of education. And a little bit more about Senate Bill 98. It established that the Local Control Accountability Plan, which is our LCAP, and our annual update to the LCAP are not required for this school year, for the 2020-21 school year. And then also that there would no longer be dashboard information for this year, not no longer, but for this school year. So we are not having to report our data because we did not do testing this last school year due to the COVID pandemic. So a little bit about the Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan. It is a template that memorializes our planning process for this school year. And it addresses gaps in learning, stakeholder engagement, maintaining transparency, addressing the needs of our unduplicated pupils and students with unique needs, and those students who are experiencing homelessness. It also looks at how we're providing access to devices and connectivity for distance learning, and how we are supporting and addressing student and staff mental health and social emotional well-being. And lastly, how we are providing school meals for our students. And again, this Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan replaces the LCAP for this school year. And just to note, they have the same acronym. So the Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan has been identified as the LCAP, but they say it is not the LCAP. So I'm going to give you an overview of what our plan, what has been written in our plan. And just a little background, we wrote the plan and then we had our parent involvement advisory committee provide our initial feedback into our plan. And then we provided an opportunity for staff to provide input into the plan. And we did get a good amount of input and feedback for our plan. And so we went and revised it. And so this is what has come out of the input from all of our stakeholders. So the various areas that it addresses, addressing the gaps in learning. So here's what we have done and will be doing for this school year. So summer 2020, we provided summer school. And again, this was during the pandemic. We provided summer school to over 300 students, and we did have a bubble model. And from the data, it sounds like no students were infected because the students were in bubble models, so they worked together solely. And we visited the summer schools and did a video, and they did a great job with the summer program. So that's what we've done since the pandemic started. And as a result of the pandemic, we are providing 2 means of education this school year. So our hybrid learning, which is students learning at home, but ultimately will come back to school when it is deemed safe. And we also are providing virtual school, which students are online the entire school year. Also, to address the gaps in learning, we are providing in our schedules for learning on Wednesdays. This day has been set aside for extra time for our small groups so that we can address our most at-risk students in smaller groups and attend to the needs of our most at-risk students. And we've also repurposed our after-school staff so that they're working and supporting us and students during the school day with the learning. So we've done a lot to address the gaps in learning, and we are still working towards doing more. In terms of stakeholder engagement, excuse me, in May, we surveyed our families and staff about their academic needs for this school year. and we address those needs. In July and August, we held several community meetings to discuss our hybrid learning and our virtual school models, to one, give information and also to receive feedback on how these plans should be rolled out. And each month we hold a parent and involvement advisory committee meeting, which is called PIAC. And we've been holding PIAC meetings monthly since last year. And we don't hold them in the summer, but we do start in August. And as we continue to move forward, we will be holding listening sessions to hear from our stakeholders, to just surface how they're doing, how they're feeling about the education that their children are being provided, and all of the various supports and things that we've put in place, how it's working and what we can do to improve. Our learning continuity plan also addresses the needs of our most at-risk students. And so here's what we're doing. We're prioritizing our most at-risk students, which are EL, our foster youth, our homeless, and our low-income students with extra supports. Again, Wednesdays being one of those ways in which we provide those extra supports. We have increased communication with families to ensure that they have access to resources. We're doing a lot more phone calling and emailing and sending out letters to our families. And again, we are providing extra support with our after-school staff during the day. And some of our staff who can translate are calling families and providing translation so that we can ensure that we're providing for their needs as well. Another area that the Learning Continuity Plan asks us to address is how we are providing access to devices and connectivity. So we have surveyed all of our students and families within the district, and all students who have a need have received a device and or a hotspot. So every student in our district, excuse me, has access. Students have the ability to meet with their teachers and their classmates in synchronous meetings, meaning they are on Zoom, they're in Google Classroom, they're meeting face-to-face virtually to receive their education. And then students have access to online curriculum. So our core curriculum is online, and teachers are providing access to the core curriculum in the hybrid model, and students have access to the virtual school curriculum through the platform that they use, which is Edgenuity. Another area that the Learning Continuity Plan asks us to address is how we are attending to the social emotional well-being of students, staff, and families. And so we have hired an extra counselor to provide support to students and families. We are hiring family liaisons to connect with families to provide extra support and resources. We did purchase an online social emotional curriculum, which is called Purpose Prep. And that will be used by teachers and counselors to provide extra supports to the students. And Stephanie Martinez, our Director of Student Services, designed our JESD Calming Room, which provides resources for all of our staff members. And then lastly, the plan asks us how we are addressing the ensuring all students have meals. And in JESD, all of our students have access to daily breakfast and lunch for the school week. So ultimately, our plan and our goal is to focus and ensure that all of our students are receiving the supports needed to learn and thrive during this pandemic. And we are continuing to work to provide access and opportunity to all of our JESD students. And that is the end of my presentation. Are there any questions?
All right, any questions from board members?
I had two questions. Thank you, Dr. Joyner. Appreciate the update. Just I know that you had covered the overview of digital divide, and it was focused on the students and their family. I'm just wondering how our district is supporting our staff, if there's any issues with digital divide with our staff, because of now there's much more use in their home because they're teaching from there.
So every teacher has a district device. They've been issued a district device, and I think that's always been the case. We do provide an opportunity for our teachers. They can work from at home, or they can work from in their classroom if they need those supports that are in their classroom. And there's no students present, but they can work from home. So I think all teachers have access. Those classified supports who need access to devices have been issued and can ask for a district issued device and will be provided a device. So anyone that needs, support or a device to help support students, we will provide them with it.
Thank you. And my second question is that sitting in on some of our county meetings, and I've been hearing that we're seeing a decline with our food distributions because some families or family members have gone back to work. Are we seeing that decline with our meal distribution, or is it the same? Or I'm just wondering what it's been looking like for our district as far as our meal distribution.
I don't have those numbers, but we can give you that unless, Bernie, you have that.
Yeah, I do. I can speak generally, and Ms. Kessler, I know, keeps on top of it more. We have seen a reduction in the number of meals served on a daily basis. And part of that is that students aren't at school where it's convenient to get the meal. We are providing meal distributions twice a week, so they get multiple meals at every pickup. But Ms. Kessler, you might be able to speak as to the number of meals or families that we're serving. And of course, we're serving anybody under the age of 18. So it's not just our students. We might be serving high school students. We might be serving students from San Francisco or even South San Francisco. So
correct. And yes, the meals have declined. We are serving, I was talking just today, and we're serving about 700 breakfasts and 700 lunches on a daily basis. So when they're coming, they're getting food. It's for like 2 days or 3 days, and it's 700 for each of the days, right? So 700 breakfasts for each day and lunches. So there is a decline, and we are trying to message out that everybody gets free lunch and breakfast now. There are up through the end of December, nobody has to pay. And then after that, yeah. And this is actually the federal government, they extended the Seamless Summer program. So you don't, again, like Mr. Vidal said, you don't have to be in our district. You don't have to be, as long as you're 18 years and younger. And the students do not have to be in the car with the parents.
Thank you for that update. And, I raised my fist because, we had extensive conversations about food and, what we wanted to charge. And I remember our board, we were trying to push the envelope and push the bar high and provide it as cheaply or as free if possible. So it's just great to hear that now it's not just in our district, but anyone who's under the age of 18.
Right.
So
up through the end of December,
or
up through the last day of school in the month of December.
Let's put the pressure on the state and federal legislators, and if they could do it now, they can do it after now too. That's time. So
the people who are coming want it, right? They want it. So that's good.
Yep. All right, and 700, even though it's a decline, 700, that's a good number.
Yeah. And we're going to be starting to serve suppers soon. But those we have to serve to our students, and we have to take names for that.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler.
Okay, great.
Appreciate that.
So any other questions? Mr. Koo or Ms. Mandio? No?
No, thank you.
All right. So I did have one, and I was happy to hear because I hadn't even thought about, what we would do or what the district would do about after school programs and things. So it was actually nice to hear that they've been incorporated during the regular school day. So I was happy to hear that. And then it sparked a question though, which is, so do they still have some type of services for the after school hours? Or is it just during the regular school hours now?
It's during the regular school hours.
Okay.
Yeah, as long
And
as we are in distance learning, they don't provide after-school services. But these after-school support staff are doing things like picking up lunches for families and delivering to the homes for families who need it and are unable to make it to the school site to pick it up. So
Great. Yeah, these are the stories that we need to hear more about and highlight in some type of way, if possible. All right.
Yeah.
And that was the only question that I had, really. So at this time, are we making yes, we need to have a motion to approve the new learning continuity and attendance plan.
I'd like to make the motion based on the recommendation from the administration to approve the learning continuity and attendance plan as written for this school year.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
All right, so that was unanimous approval. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
we yeah, hopefully it'll keep getting better. Yep. At this time, we move on to item 9C, which is another one we've been waiting for. Workforce Housing Design Build Contractor Selection. Yay.
Yay. Cannot tell you. I'm very excited about this. So we did go out with an RFP and we got 2 responses. We were getting 3, but the third one wanted us to change our contract language to language that wasn't actually legal or by ed code. So we refused to do that, of course. And so we ended up with 2, but it's good to have 2. And the evaluation committee met, and there was me and Bernie and Bill and some of our representatives at RGMK. And it was quite clear which one was going to be the best value for us. And they really were the best all around, including the price. The other price was twice the price. So not only were these better, but they were the less expensive ones. So we're very happy about it. And so we need to go in and negotiate the contract because we need to get the design build. They need to give us a price on it, but first we actually have to have what's going to be built for them to give us the price on it. And so we do need to work with them, but it's work for them to work with us. And so that's why we want to get approval to negotiate the contract with them so we can move forward on this. And then when we have the final contract, we'll be bringing that back to you. But they will be doing work in between in order to get that final contract.
All right. Any questions?
I have one. I know that, a lot of things have changed and timelines were pushed back. Do we have a estimate of, after this RFP and everything, and with council approval, what our groundbreaking day might be?
Yes, our estimate is June 18th, 2021. How's that for exact? We'll see what happens, right?
Thank you.
That's an estimate.
All right. So it might just be me, but I was a slight bit confused. So before, when we had the companies that were bidding and and we were deciding whether we wanted, how we wanted them to be built and if they were going to be built off-site. And then, so I thought that company was going to do everything. So these are just now the construction folks who have to put it
They will
into
be-
place. Can you explain just a little?
They'll be working with the company. They will be contracting with the company that builds the units. And so we need the plans to be more complete so they can tell them what it is that they need to build, so that the architectural plans are complete enough that the modular company can give them a price so that they can give us a price. And of course, they're doing much more than just that, right? Once they know where's the plumbing going to be, where's the toilet going to be, where's the electricity going to be, then they can determine what the cost of putting that in is. But they can't give us a price until they know that information. So there's, like I said, there's work that they have to do in order for us to get to that point. But we will be coming back to you.
All right, thanks. All right, yeah, so that's very helpful. Thank you. So are there any other questions, Mr. Vidales? Did you have something?
No, I think it was, you were correct. It was sort of a switch in our strategy. We, at some point, were considering that we would purchase the units separately and then have a contractor come and put them together. But after consulting with our project manager and other folks in the field, it's cleaner to enter into a contract with the general contractor who enters into a contract with the modular units.
And one of the reasons for that is so that when the units come, if they don't fit on the platform, everybody's not pointing fingers at each other. That was your responsibility. No, that was your responsibility. So they take the responsibility that it actually fits and that the plumbing is where it's supposed to be and such.
Okay.
So yeah, you do remember correctly. We were going to pursue that. We were going to get in line to buy them first and then get someone to put them together. But after hearing the way things work in this industry, it made more sense to have our general contractor be the one responsible for that.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Well, that's why you guys get paid the big bucks to figure this all out and make it work. All right, so are there any other questions? Nope. So do we have a motion then?
I'll make a motion that we authorize the district personnel to negotiate the final contract with C, Oversa and Company for design build services for construction of the workforce housing project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And it is unanimously
Yay,
approved.
one step closer, yay.
Yeah, a big step, a really big step, actually. Thanks.
Thank you for that. I pass that every day, so it's just waiting to see something there. So thank you.
My pleasure.
All right, item 11A, Board Policies, Administrative Regulations. Board Policies, Administrative Regulations, July 2020, CSBA Board Policy Revisions, first reading. The board will review and revise board policies, administrative regulations from July 2020 CSBA board policy revisions as stated in a first reading. And do we have any input, any questions from board members? Nope. Okay.
I'll go ahead that we approve the first reading of the revised board policy administrative regulation from July 2020 CSBA board policy revisions as stated.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously approved. No opposed. All right, item 12, persons wishing to address the board on unagendized or closed session items. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda, or an item addressed in closed session. So did anyone submit the?
Yeah, we do have
speaker
one
cards?
comment. I don't know if Ms. Manio, if you want to read or you would like Mr. Koo to read, or I can read it since I have it up on my screen.
I don't have it up on my.
Okay. Mr. Koo, do you have it up or would you like me to read it?
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. Sorry, I was
Okay.
muted. Okay, so we have one speaker card, Sandra Zhang, parent. Her message is, I'd like to ask the board to consider not reopening schools for in-person school hybrid system until at least January 2021, as JUXC has already planned and set. While my kids learn much better in school, there's too much health risk involved for teachers, staff, students, and their families. Additionally, to start in-person hybrid at school with high potential for it to stop to return to distance learning will be too disruptive for their studies while putting staff and students at risk during this time frame. Over 200,000 people have already died due to the pandemic, and Daly City has one of the higher number of cases in San Mateo County with 1,515 cases currently. We need to stop this virus from spreading further. San Francisco Unified School District Board President had mentioned that he believes schools will likely not reopen before January. January. I asked the board to please consider distance learning to continue through at least January 2021, then to see how cases progress the rest of the year to make a decision for the spring semester. I do ask that this decision not be made earlier than later so that families can plan accordingly and not have to stress about school reopening too soon. Many families are stressed by the thought of school resuming anytime soon when they're approaching cold flu season, and in combination with COVID, it can be very dangerous for those in the community with weaker immune systems. Also, I had stopped by one of the schools in our district recently and noticed that the hand sanitizers used are non-alcohol based. Is there a district policy not to use alcohol-based hand sanitizers? Because CDC recommends hand sanitizers to contain at least 60% alcohol to effectively remove germs. And that is the comment.
All right, thank you, Trustee Koo. And you said it was Sandra Zhang?
Yes, Sandra Zhang, parent.
Okay, thank you to Sandra Zhang for those comments. And at this time, we will have governance team member comments, reports, and board meeting reflection. And we'll start with Superintendent Vidales.
Thank you. So I will look into that question about the hand sanitizers. If I remember correctly, that non-alcohol based hand sanitizers are present in many of the hand sanitizers that are not supervised use. So they're open, they're in the middle of courtyards. No one's necessarily standing next to it. Partially because we do work with lots of minors, and having 60% alcohol available out in the open can be dangerous. But I do believe that the hand sanitizing solution that's used is effective, and it may contain more soap substance so that the soap can dissolve the outer membrane of the virus. But I will double check on that and get back to the board and also our parent communities as they're concerned about it. No, thank you. Thank the board for your meeting today. And thank you for making an effort to get here. And this is one of our shortest meetings. So congratulations.
Thanks very much. And we'll go ahead and go to Trustee Manio.
I don't have much to say other from when I opened with. I just want to say, definitely grateful to be here. Whenever you go through a harrowing experience like that, you kind of reflect on everything in your life, in the past and in the future. And I'm very grateful to be on this board with you all as my colleagues. I highly respect all of you and the administrators, and definitely our teachers and staff and our families and students that are all going through it. And I understand the sentiment of a lot of our families and the high risk that we're at in this county, and also, the sentiments of just everybody being exhausted and tired and, just trying to get through it all. So we're here with you, we hear you, and we're grateful to be with you. And I hope everybody takes good care of themselves and keeps safe. So we will see you again next time. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Trustee Liana Anoa'i.
Thank you, President Ali. I chose we will keep our focus on the best interests of our students. And I think we've done that, especially expediting the agenda to be one of our shortest meetings. I think that's something we can celebrate. I'm actually going to note that in my journal. But I do want to say that in the spirit of what was shared by Trustee Manio, I too have deep respect for everyone on this board. It's definitely been my honor to just receive the wisdom and the lived experiences that I'm able to embrace from learning from each of you. I mean, COVID has really not just magnified many of the things happening that aren't happening the way we want them to, but it's also magnified a lot of human kindness and goodness that many times the hustle and bustle of our daily lives outside of this Zoom norm now hasn't allowed for us to appreciate. So for that, I'm in deep gratitude to be able to see some of that, experience some of that, and be grateful of that. And I did want to put out a reminder that we are a week away from the census deadline, September 30th. I want to continue to encourage, folks to get it done. If you know people who are still on the fence or haven't done it, we know as school board members, we need that funding. So we want to continue to push folks to get the census done, and also to remember, if they don't get registered to vote by the 19th, that here we are in California, here in our county, we're still able to do conditional ballots on the day of. So don't be discouraged just because you didn't get it done on the deadline, especially coming from communities of color. I can say that they'll be like, oh, I didn't do it. So it's after October 19th. We need to be vigilant in communicating the right message. And we need to be vigilant in making sure that people are aware of how they can make a difference. Prop 15 is something we agreed as board members to support, and as a district, we need to be out there phone banking when we can to ensure that we get that money for our district. So I just want to ask everyone to continue to pray for those who are impacted by the fires and loss. I could say my family, we're still in that, losing someone every week to COVID, literally every single week. So my ask continues to be vigilant with wearing your mask. Please continue to stay home. People are continuing to relax their standards. Please don't. We're still in the middle of it. So be well, be safe. And again, I wish you well. Trustee Manio, I'm so glad to hear your voice today. So glad. Take care, everyone.
Thanks. And Trustee Koo.
For me, in terms of the guidelines, try to abide as much as possible, as much as you can this evening. Also working towards future learning from the past. And I think we did that tonight in terms of our plan moving forward with education past COVID, as well as our work towards workforce housing. I also want to give just a quick report update. We had a San Mateo County School Board Association board meeting, and there's just a couple of updates I thought I'd share with my fellow board members. So a couple items. I know last year we normally hold a Kent Award ceremony at the end of the spring semester, but we couldn't hold it last school year due to COVID. So they're actually going to do a fall Kent Award ceremony to recognize all the winners from last spring. And then we're going to do another spring one for this coming year that might be a little bit different based off of some of the programs that have come about during COVID and other types of distance learning. So that is coming up later this year and next year. We're also planning a new board member orientation. So it sounds like we will have at least one new board member on our board, and it's being planned for sometime in early January, just to sort of take into account some of the longer than normal counting of all the ballots. So just making sure that can actually take place. So January is when that's planned, as well as a legislative action day. Currently it's scheduled around January or February, but the SMCSBA board is reaching out to our state legislators to find out when would be best, especially since there will be a new state senator down in San Mateo County. So just making sure that we can coordinate enough time for that to happen. And then I don't know if everybody was aware, we have a new CSBA PACER, so a public affairs community engagement representative who's pretty much our liaison with the CSBA organization at the statewide level. His name is Marty Fatu. He started maybe about a couple months ago, I believe, but I wasn't sure it was fully shared with everybody, but he is our day-to-day rep in terms of any issues regarding policies, advocacy, and sort of communication efforts between our county and CSBA. So just thought I'd share that. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I can connect you guys with him as well.
I'm sorry, President Ali, I had one more share I totally forgot to mention. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., Pacific Islander educators and community leaders from across the state will be meeting with CDE and Superintendent Tony Thurman to speak specifically to the Pacific Islander ethnic studies curriculum model that was submitted to IQC in August with the modifications that we are questioning. While it is PI ethnic model focused, as board members, we know that these are for all our students. I did want to mention that I have the Zoom. If anyone here on the call wants to sit in and contribute, you're more than welcome to join the call. Just let me know and I'll be glad to forward the invitation. And it is for tomorrow at 3 with the superintendent, our state superintendent. We have about 30 Pacific Islander professors from across the state and about 15 community leaders that are invested in the conversation. And it was wonderful to see people step up to the call of action and for the superintendent to be open to listen. And it impacts our community here. So anyone interested, I'll be more than happy to share the Zoom.
All right, thanks. Yeah, that's definitely very important. And you all have covered it all. I'm not sure how much I can add to this, except for that I definitely think that we all did adhere to the guidelines, and this has been a great meeting. You know, we're in tough times, but we're helping each other out and we're keeping each other strong. So, and thanks, Mr. Koo, for you know, attending those San Mateo County School Board Association meetings and keeping us up to date with it all, because everything is moving fast from the county level. So it's good to have you there as a consistent eyes and ears for the rest of us. And we are, you know, going to have a closed session tonight. So we will take a 5-minute, actually, let's make it a 7-minute break. But if you come back in 5 minutes and we're all on, we'll get started. So at this time, if there's no other questions, comments, or concerns, we will end the meeting for this portion and take a break and convene later for closed session. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
evening.